are still lacking. And that means that we have made, a remarkable degree of strides in terms of getting our electoral process to be where we need them to be. They are not fully technologically driven, and we don't have that. Even in Western democracies, they are moving away from technology. So ours is somewhere in between, medium-based, technology-driven electoral process. And that means that we have to look at other ways through which we can get information flowing from those 11,000 plus polling stations in time. That is what is important, in time. We need the assurances from the IEBC that these particular polling stations, particularly when it comes to the critical transmission of results, are not left out, because that is what will cause anxiety. We want to see these particular polling stations updates coming out of that, and alternative means of ensuring that the results get out of these polling stations in time as required. That is what is significant. And that is what will make a difference in this particular election. The timing. Yes. That is what we need to see. The assurances that the results, once announced at the polling stations, wherever they are, whether they are out of network or not, will be able, final, and will be able to hit the tallying centers at the constituency, at the county, and at the national level simultaneously, so that we are able to dissipate the anxiety that is already gripping Kenyans. That is what is causing a lot of heat now. The fact that we still are not, as Kenyans, doubting whether we will see those results in time, and accurately so. So we need to give the assurances as IEBC to all Kenyans that all systems are ready. Yes. The results as announced will be final at the polling stations and at the constituency level, and these will be transmitted simultaneously and timely up to the National Tallying Center.
Mark, is there cause for alarm? Bearing in mind the serious perception issues Kenyans have with the electoral body.
Exactly. Perceptions. Yes. And it's not a cause of alarm. It's more about how the IEBC handles it. That's really what the question is. And how it handles it is there's a number of factors that come into play. Number one, the party agents. And the party agents, what kind of documentation will they have? Will they transport the returning officer to the particular place because they say they need to travel to a place where there's network and be able to send? How far are these places that need network? Then the other question is, it's not just about polling stations. How many voters are in this particular polling station? It's going to be critical. Because if you find a polling station has 300 voters or 100 voters, then it will cause less anxiety as compared to a polling station that has the full 700 people voting from that particular polling station. So that becomes the critical question. We need to have that addressed. So again, it's a question of clarity. It's a question of the IEBC coming out and telling the political parties that in the places where there is no network, your agents need to do A, B, C, D, and this is how long it will take. This is the center they will take. Are they going to travel with this person to make sure that the data that's being sent is the same? Will the data be locked at the point of entry until at the point of where the data has been entered until the point of transmission? It's really a matter really of communication and the PR around it. I personally do not see anything that could happen that is untoward for two reasons. Number one, generally the places that are without network, the telecommunications companies have chosen to slow down that process because of population factors. Because let's say it's going to cost 10 million to put this up and there are only 300 people. So we expect that these polling stations have low populations, and if they have low populations, then they need to communicate what is the value, how many people are here, how long will it take to transmit this data.
Prof, what's your reaction to that?
I agree with the two good gentlemen that actually it's a PR work for the IBC. I think they are prepared, but they need to make it clear to the public that they are properly prepared. Those 11,000 polling places where there is no network, it needs to be made very clear. In this area, the meeting point for transmission will be at a particular place.
Yes.
The agents will be there, and the police will be there, and the ABC will be there. So everybody will be there to ensure that what was counted at the polling station is what will be delivered at that transmission point. Since the transmission point is not at the polling station, and maybe they even need to tell people in public where the transmission points are for different regions. So the doubts are removed in there.
Peter, I'd like to hear your opinion on this. There are a lot of ICT experts who are on record having said back in 2013, it's not the system that failed, it's the people who failed the system. Now, from your own observation, this time round, we are in 2017, we're just 2 days away from the general elections. How well prepared do you think IEBC is? Have they learned from past mistakes?
Thank you. I've had the benefit of interacting with the system very closely because I've been part of the process of preparing party agents as well in terms of their role and responsibility in these particular elections. And what I have emphasized is that, look, let's not create complexities where there is none. This particular election is not a complex election. It's not even complicated. It will just be challenging. That is the point, you know. And we have to rise to the challenges. And what I've been telling the party agents is that I've been training with and closely with the IEBC and the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties. And part and parcel of that is interaction with the KIMS device, which, as you know, has 3 applications. And the assurances and the confidence that has come out of the KIMS technology that has been procured to power these particular elections, particularly in relation to identification of voters at the time of voting and the critical transmission. The benefit this time round is that these devices have been with the IEBC for longer, at least 30 days, and they have interacted with them, they have used them, they have taken them to the field, they have tested them, and we have seen that, and that is the confidence that is coming out of the IEBC. Unlike 2013, when devices were getting into the country a week before, or even a day before, you know, and people didn't have sufficient time to interact with those devices and therefore prepare themselves for anything untoward. You know, technology, of course, can fail. But this time round, the assurances and the confidence level, at least from myself, who has interacted very closely with the KIMS devices, is, I would say, 95%. That's my confidence level. And that is extremely high for technology-driven process, you know. And that is the assurance that we would like the IEBC to continuously give to political parties, political actors, and the Kenyans that, look, this time round, we are fully prepared. And there are alternatives as well. In the event that these machines fail, the chances they are going to fail, in my view, is 5 or less than 5%.
That's minimal.
That is very, very minimal, extremely minimal.
Of course, so, IEBC are already on record saying that they've deployed about, is it 45,000 of these devices to the 40,000 polling stations?
Precisely.
So it means if the devices break down, or
Precisely.
Arises, then they'll have extra devices.
Exactly. And the thing about these devices is that they are almost foolproof in terms of tampering by human beings, you know, and that is what is good about them. These devices are set up in such a way that not a single person will be able to see what is going on. No. As the presiding officers will be interacting with these devices on the election day, information will come out of these devices that will go to various points, which, in my view, will serve as checks, you know, against any ulterior motivation on the part of presiding officers. And, you know, this is the thing about this, that one, with these devices, the possibility of manufacturing numbers is nil. And when it comes to that, these devices will simply tell the presiding officers no. And I have particularly trained party agents to be on the lookout for this. If you, by any chance, try to punch in higher numbers than those that actually went through the device, the device will make noise like a car alarm. And this is something that party agents need to look out for wherever they are. And on top of that, I think there is the element of personal responsibility now. Each and every presiding officer will now take personal responsibility over what goes on at the polling stations, including the integrity of the poll, of the vote, and of the results, which is critical. And above that, you know, the idea which is now inbuilt as part of our electoral practice and law is that any results that will reflect an anomaly in terms of numbers over and above, you know, the kind of scenario we had in 2013 where we had 110%, those results will automatically be cancelled. Now, no one wants his results or results from, you know, nobody wants that.
Peter will continue with this conversation. Definitely the picture you've given us is of a watertight kind of an election. We're going to talk more about the ballot papers and how they're tamper-proof, because so many people have raised queries about that. But for now, let's link up with our senior political reporter, Duncan Khaemba, who is, I believe, in Khwisero in Kakamega County, is heading to Busia County, and that is where we do expect some sort of a battle of titans between the incumbent, Sospita Ojamong and Paulo Toma. Now, Khaemba, good afternoon, and how is the situation like in Kakamega? And of course, give us some dynamics surrounding the